Why do negative emotions keep going back at you? Why all these patterns of problems that you had in the past, you still feel the same disappointment? You still feel the same kind of maybe suffering. I mean, another way of saying this is, are you perfectly happy today? If you're not fully satisfied with your life, there's some sort of underlying negative emotion to your experience right now. And the question would be, okay, how is that supported? How is it possible that this just stays there all the time? Maybe something horrible happened to you a long time ago, and this keeps going on in your life as if it never really left you. You get traumatized, that's the best word for it. But think about, for example, relationships. You had a problem with one person a long time ago, you've been disappointed on someone because they let you down. And how is that you keep feeling the same emotion over and over through new people that appear in your life? It's new people. Why you still feel the same emotion as you feel at that point? We normally think it's the people who are triggering the emotion. Well, yeah, people are triggering the emotion, but we have the emotion, which gives you the power. So how all this happens? Well, if you would try to join the dots on how all this experience of, let's say, disappointment on people, but it could be money problems, it could be health problems, it could be any kind of thing that is worrying you, anything that is a situation that is making you feel negative emotions in some way. What is the joining dots? What is this magical thread? Well, in the surface, it's very easy to see, it's negative thinking. Right? You probably have noticed that in order to sustain a negative emotion, let it be hate, let it be sadness, let it be any negative emotion you may have, all of them are supported in your mind. You could even hear these thoughts like, it will never change. This person will always do like this. I will never have enough money. You can feel, right? The connection between your negative patterns, the negative talk, and the emotions, right? So that's the missing link that you have to be looking for. And I'm not saying just stick a smile on your face and put affirmations all over and try to think, yes, this is gonna work, and this person is finally gonna change, and I'm gonna become the best this, the best that, and I'm gonna get a lot of money. And I'm not saying that. I'm not saying fake positivity. What I'm trying to say is actually the opposite. What happens if you let go of your negative thinking? This is an experiment I really want you to try. I don't want this to be another intellectual video. I want you really honestly see what happens if you let go of your negative thinking. If that, over time, drives your negative emotions. Because it has to happen. It has to happen. And if it didn't happen yet, it's because you haven't dismantled the negative patterns of your thinking. So again, it's not like you're trying to fix it. It's not like you're trying to put anything on it. No, you are just, this thought crosses your mind. I don't know. This person is an asshole. This horrible thing is going to happen. The world is going to go due to political reasons or just human nature. You just find this whole thing like, oh, the world is going to be a disaster. We're all going to die. And this AI revolution is going to get everyone out of their own job. And, this horrible thinking. What about if you just don't re-energize it, if you don't pay attention to it? Because you may say, okay, that sounds a great idea. I would love to try that, but I cannot let go of my negative thinking. That's what probably most people will say. You may know this. I really hope you do know what I'm saying. It feels familiar. You may have attempted to do so, but this video is suggesting you there is a deeper layer you may not have dismantled. That's why this bad ways, this negative aroma goes back into your life, this negative emotion. It's actually telling you there's still some core belief, there's still some core line of thinking, way of understanding life that is creating friction, there is resistance. And that emotion, it is actually like you're driving a car and you see smoke coming out of the engine. Well, that's a negative emotion. Per se, they are not bad. But that's the angle of meditation, in the sense that you can explore how does it feel? And this way you recontact with the experience. There's nothing wrong about negative emotions. I'm not saying you should try to suppress them in any way, but they're pointers. That's what I'm trying to say. So your negative emotions are pointing to wrong ways of understanding your experience. And that wrong ways, we call it negative thinking. So they are like a vicious circle. They re-energize each other. Negative thinking, negative emotion, negative thinking, negative emotion. And the great question would be, okay, how do you stop that vicious circle? How do you stop it? Come on, try your natural wisdom. There's a wisdom in you that knows it. How do you stop this reinforcement dynamic between your negative thinking and your negative emotions? Well, just because I'm here to actually give answers to, well, I will tell you meditation. And by meditation, I mean the art of letting go of your own mind. So yesterday, actually, I was suggesting a book that was all about how to focus your mind. And by that, the point is not that you get an athletic focus and an incredible concentration, which you do actually develop over time, but it's the fact that you actually let go of all these unconscious tendencies that are completely contaminating your experience with anything less than ideal. So even the most subtle dissatisfaction today in your life is actually caused by an unconscious activity in your mind. So if you sit and you try to stay with whatever it is, stay with the presence of that against all this contamination of thoughts coming in. Well, let's say blah, 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 blah. The thoughts, they may look like they are very important to be thinking about, but if you give yourself 5 minutes, that's why we call sitting to meditate, but you can do it in a chair, don't have to actually sit on the floor or anything like that. You will actually find that if you say, yeah, for the next 5 minutes, nothing that crosses my mind is so important. Just 5 minutes, then you can keep on with your own mental situation afterwards. So stay in these 5 minutes, just in pure letting your thoughts. None of them are real. They're just opinions. They're partial understandings of your life. So most of the time are wrong, actually. Or not that they're right or wrong. They're just thoughts. They're not even real. They're not factual truths, because that's what your negative thinking tells you, right? They're thinking, no, there's this situation, there's this thing, and this is why I feel like this. I feel threatened by this. I feel disempowered by this. And the way that I feel is because of all this out there. Well, that's a thought. Very negative one, actually. Very disempowering one. So you don't necessarily have to psychologically work on the thoughts to get out of them. So reason yourself out of them. Like in this case, this person is bothering me, or I'm worried about politics. And you start talking about politics with your psychologist. You can certainly do that. But what I'm suggesting in this video, it is just see your, in this case, political thoughts, or it could be economic thoughts, or it could be relationship related to something. Just let them, they're gonna come. You know they're gonna come because they are reinforced by this dynamic with these negative emotions. But just let them flow. Like, just don't stop with them. Let them be tired of you not paying attention to them. That is done best. Most people will feel, oh, I'm lost again. Oh, I'm lost again. And they will waste a lot of time sitting to meditate and still not making it. That's where this idea of having an object, it gives you a starting point where you can clearly see, be paying attention to, let's say, to your breath. Or you could even say an image on your mind, or a mantra. That mantra is probably a very easy one for this. You can have a mantra. It could be a word like my shoes, or the sun. Let's say the sun, sun, the sun, the sun. And every time a thought comes, you say, no, the sun, the sun, the sun. And in this way, you can learn, you can teach yourself to let go step by step. And I'm going to show you the books that I was recommending on this topic over and over again. The Attention Revolution by Alan Wallace and The Mind Illuminated by Jula Dasa. Both books are very well-developed systems on how to do this step by step. But you don't even need a book. You just need to honestly try. Just sit there and just renounce to thinking altogether for a few minutes. Okay? And what happens? How would your life feel if you will get to the point that you disengage from this negative thinking and the negative emotions die by themselves and you're just there living presence? How would your life feel without negative emotions? If you wouldn't feel fear, if you wouldn't feel sadness, if you wouldn't feel tired of the world, disappointment, any kind of range of negative emotion, how would your life feel? How would this moment feel if you just don't cooperate with these negative tendencies, thoughts, emotions? Yeah, leave them alone. They don't matter. Only you matter. Only your presence, your being. And that is always self-abundant. It always feels like overflowing. That's how you actually reach joy and positive emotions, not by getting external circumstances. It is costless. It is your own presence. It is your capacity to let go of all your mental tendencies and just relax. And feel this moment fully without the disruption of your past, your memories, your emotions. And just be nakedly here, resting. Peace arises. Beauty arises. Joy naturally arises for no reason, just because you're alive. That is accessible to you at any time, anywhere, no matter what. But you have to practice it. Okay, my friend?